welcome to Young Hollywood, where we have a bar like 2 feet away from you.
I know, I'm eyeing it up.
We sometimes ask celebrities that come in what would their drink of choice be. So like, what's the Douglas Booth drink?
Definitely not the adult chocolate milk.
So what's your choice?
Grey Goose, that's me.
And you're 21, so you can drink in the States.
Yeah, this is actually the first trip that I can legally drink in the States.
I love that you threw the legally part in there. So you're one of those people we would say is on the verge to emerge. You've got so many. I love that you just grinned when I said that.
Verge to emerge.
New York Magazine wrote about you. I know you've got a film with Darren Aronofsky coming out. You've got a film with Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis coming out. You've got a lot of things coming out, and then of course Romeo and Juliet. Do you get recognized a lot over there, here?
I think probably more in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's starting to more a little over here. I mean, it's a very gradual thing for me. I keep saying this, but I feel like fame. I think fame and the growth of fame is a bit like a cat. I think it's like when you get a kitten and you see your cat grow. You never really see it grow. You just wake up one day and it's suddenly huge, and you haven't noticed because you're living with it.
Right. So if you had like stepped away from your life, 2 years ago, and now look at it.
And actually, I was at Glastonbury Music Festival in England, and like every year, it's interesting to see how it changes. It's like a segment. That's quite a good way of like testing it.
Yeah, but when you go back to the festival.
And this year it was kind of crazy. It sort of changed quite a bit, and I was, me and my friends were quite surprised. It's quite interesting.
Before you were an actor, when you were really young, and you said, "When I grow up, what did you think you wanted to be?"
I mean, I started off, and I knew it was never going to be an academic thing because I struggled at school. I'm dyslexic, so I knew I wanted to do something sort of creative, and I thought, well, I'm going to take up the trumpet, and
as all people do.
Yeah, I took up the trumpet and thought I'm going to become the next like Louis Armstrong, and I worked really, really hard, and then eventually when I turned to like 13, became a teenager, I was like, this isn't cool anymore. I see everyone else is playing guitar and they're becoming rock stars, and I was like, the party. You can't just whip that out of the party and play. Do you know what I mean? It looked cool.
It's not a friend maker.
So I kind of gave that up and sort of took up acting. But if you play the trumpet now, please keep on going, because it's actually, in hindsight, it's the coolest instrument. So Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. I know Hailee kind of in a way chose you. I mean, I know she had a huge say in who played Romeo.
Yeah, I mean, she was already on board the movie before I came on board. So they were then looking for Romeos, and they tested a whole bunch of guys. And I mean, I wasn't expecting anything, but then I fortunately found out I was going to test. And so it was really cool. And then you got on set and split your pants many times, I heard. Oh, Hailee tell you that? Yeah. I mean, it was. You were wearing the tights, so let's. Well, they were these kind of like leather, sort of really cool, like kind of pants or trousers, as we would call them in England. But they were quite tight. So I mean, in rehearsals, when I was practicing the sword fighting, they would like give me some to try on just to be able to move in them. And every time they were just like splitting. I was like, okay, guys, we've got to sort this out before we start shooting. Anyway, the first day, like balconies start climbing up, rip. And I think there's some great video footage of me just lying there and just having like my crotch sewn up, like. And then sometimes like get on the horse, you like put your leg over the horse and it's just like. You ride though, don't you? Aren't you? Yeah, no, I've ridden for a while, so that was a huge You're like, bonus tick, I don't even have to do the training or anything. Well, I did. I mean, I was out there riding every day because I was going to take every opportunity I could get. So we were just galloping through the Italian countryside and having the best time. So romantic. And speaking of romance, do you think after doing this film, these days people are so much less romantic than those? Do you think? Well, yeah. I mean, nobody's declaring their love for each other after like 2 hours and I'm romantic.
Dying for each other. Are you? Yeah,
I'm romantic. I think so. I mean, I think people are. I mean, I hope that there aren't many cases where there's such tragic love stories as this one. But it is but it's the true epitome of like a true romance. Hailee kept saying, who doesn't want to be like have their Juliet moment? I mean, it's probably best not to die at the end, But yeah, no, I think the themes in this movie are still totally relevant today. Like all over the world, there are, there'll be multiple people in this world right now, that are in love with someone else, but are being forced to marry someone else. So, I think these themes are totally relevant, and this kind of story is probably happening to, real people. Well, right
along those lines, we have a game for you. It's about modern day romance, and because you know how they mix people's names these days, like couples together. What? Like what do they call Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt?
Brangelina?
Brangelina, yeah. So we're calling this Roliet.
Yeah, okay. I'm nervous about playing this game now. Go.
We're trying to make you nervous. No. So Romeo in the film, you meet, and in the story, you meet Juliet, and you meet her at a ball, and then you go to her house, and you throw a rock at her window, and you get her attention. By today's standards, that would be considered really creepy. Let's say you meet somebody, okay, and you're into them. You meet them at a bar. You don't get their number, and then later that night, they're like, okay, they text you, and they're like, I went to the ends of the earth, I got your number. Hi. Creepy or romantic?
Romantic, I think.
Really?
But that would that, like, if it was the same night, that's just, you'd think they're just trying to have a booty call. Maybe that's not so romantic. If they left it like a day or a couple of days or a week, then maybe that's like, oh, that's cool. Like, you remembered me. But if it's the same night, you just think they're...
Obviously, the families did not like each other or did not like get along. Meeting the parents today, how do you make a good first impression? Are you bringing gifts? Are you bringing mom flowers?
It's
what
mom
do you do?
flower. You know, yeah, mom. I've done that for sure.
Have
Mom
you?
flowers. It's, you know, it's like, you know, they have a certain interest. You're like, oh, I was just walking past the bookshop and I picked up this book. I thought you'd like it, and you've like looked up
You've
and
Googled them?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, declaring your love for someone after 3 days, romantic or creepy by today's standards?
Today's standards, that's creepy.
Okay.
I think I'm not creepy. Creepy is the wrong word. I think today's standards, it's just not the way things are done. Maybe it is. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, because how do you know someone's being totally sincere? I mean, people always say, "Do you believe in love at first sight?"
Right.
And I kind of do, but I also think I've met some of the most beautiful women in the world, and you would think, okay, I've just seen the most beautiful woman in the world. I must fall in love with her instantly because that's love at first sight, and she's like the most perfect form. But actually, the most beautiful women in the world that I've met are not the most attractive women I've ever met.
I read that you said that. Now, why is it? What are you talking about?
Because inner beauty is like 10 times more beautiful than exterior, an exterior beauty. So
we're gonna move on to the next. Okay. Back then, someone had to write letters to communicate. These days, we've kind of gone back to that with the texting. Is it okay to text somebody for a first date instead of calling them on the phone?
What, you mean like to meet up for the first date or afterwards?
To ask them.
I think text's okay. I think so. I think because people get nervous and yeah, I think it's all right.
Okay. Romeo and Juliet met at the ball.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to meet somebody these days?
God, I don't know. I'm useless at that kind of thing. I wouldn't know where to go. But I can tell you a story about when I first met Hailee, which was at the Met Ball. It was crazy because we're at the Met Ball, like one of the biggest balls in the country. And
one of the only balls in the country, quite frankly.
Yeah, so we saw each other across the room and just like,
Wow.
and then we kind of came across, said hi, and I think it really made a difference that we'd sort of met and just had a little chance to hang out and chat before we...
That was like a real life Romeo and Juliet moment.
Kind of, yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Your own version. So what is your idea of a Juliet to you?
I mean, my perfect girl? I think someone needs to have sort of charm, humour. As I said, it's all about the inner beauty rather than exterior beauty. They've got to be funny. They've also got to challenge me. I think it's important in a relationship to be a balance in the sense of, as soon as you feel like the other person isn't challenging you or they're not, you're not sort of matched on that level, I think that's when something's going to fall apart. So you need to be challenged, you need to be kept on your toes, you need to feel like you're with, you're sort of equal.
Thank you so much for coming in.
So
Congratulations on all the success. Please come back and see us again.
I will be.